So today we're going to be installing adjustable strut rods for a 1965 to 1966 Mustang. Before we install these adjustable strut rods, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what I found and why I'm doing these adjustable strut rods. I think there's an application for everybody to have stock strut rods. You could have bushings that are adjustable strut rods, and you could have solid strut rods that are adjustable. And they all fall in a certain category. For me, the problem I was having, I had the stock strut rod. I was entering a corner, just daily driving at a light. And when I would come out of the corner, the steering wheel wouldn't go back to zero, which most cars do. So as I did some research, I found out that these cars from factory forward had 0 to 1 degree positive caster, which is not great for road racing, autocross, or spirited driving on the streets. As I looked on the internet and tried to find my solution to my problem, I came across this company called Mike Meyer. And Mike Meyer actually has a classic, I don't know if it's a 65 or 66 Mustang. Probably handles better than a Porsche GT3. If you haven't seen this guy, he was featured in a lot of YouTube videos. I think he was featured with Hoonigans. He was featured in Drive, the old school Drive, if you remember those. And I'll show you some clips here.
Most 66 Mustangs, if you've ever driven one in stock condition, they're sloppy. You have all that play in the steering. You have all that play in the suspension. Mike's managed to take this car and really do special things with it. The car tells you, drive me at 10/10. You know what I mean? Let me do what I was built to do.
Could you explain to me about the suspension under here and how you developed it?
Sure.
Cool. So,
anyways, I came across this Mike Meyer and I did some more research with other people. I ended up finding out the ultimate caster for like baseline road racing and like spirited driving on the streets is you want to have 4 to 8 degrees of caster. That's going to get you driving the way you want it. If you're like a person that is not a grocery getter, that you want to drive this car the way it's meant to be. And I can get into caster, but honestly, it's very confusing and it's going to make this video very boring. All you need to know is that you need positive caster if you want better handling. Yes, having bushings do flex, so it does give you inconsistent camber settings on turns. That's why they have the solid ones. Also, what it does when you're turning really hard, the corner that's taking all the weight, you know, like if we're turning, the car's turning this way and there's this tire here, positive caster is gonna give it camber into the turn. So it's gonna have a flatter surface into the turn as well as camber, negative camber does. That is one of the big benefits of it. I went ahead and bought this company. It's called SPC. They make these special caster adjustable rods. They're pretty much stock. All it does is it has a thread on it with a bolt that you could adjust it. Installed it, took it to an alignment shop, asked for anywhere from 2 to 3 degrees of caster. I think we got it to 2 degrees of caster. And the car handled so much better. I took it to an autocross event. It handled great. Is there room for improvement? Yes. So the 3 options that you have your stock caster rod that's non-adjustable, but it has fresh bushings, which is a plus. You want to have that. If you're just a person that wants like matching number car, just wants to drive to a car show and doesn't really care about high performance entering corners and stuff like that, that is a perfect setup for you. Don't look any further, just go with that. I know a lot of people put polyurethane bushings on those. From what I've read, that's a big no-no due to that they have no flex. They're very stiff. And what happens with that is you can basically break one of those. They need to be a little stronger strut rod, or you can snap them in half. That's what I've read. The other setup is a second setup. The setup that I have is basically a stock strut rod with the stock bushing that came on the cars. But you can adjust it, so you can add positive caster to it. The max you're gonna get with these are about 3 degrees of caster. And if you want to get to that 3 degree, you're gonna have to have something that can adjust your camber because it kind of limits you on that setup. So that's what I went with. My car is meant to, you know, go to car shows, to drive it out on a Sunday with my wife. It's meant to autocross and road race. That's the setup I want. Eventually, I want to do the third option. There's a company called Global West, and I don't know if Mike Meyer might have it too. It's a solid adjustable strut rod, so there's no bushing, goes straight to the radiator support under the car. The positive with that is that there's no flex. That strut rod's gonna stay. It's not gonna move. It's gonna help you on braking and it's gonna help you on handling. Especially on handling due to the fact that when you enter that corner, there's no flex. It's not gonna move back or forward or side to side. So your camber adjustment, your toe, all that's not gonna change. So that's the positive with that. So that's kind of what the research I've made, and I've already driven the car, and I can tell you it's a big difference. If you're on the edge of trying to figure out, should I have an adjustable one and add caster? Yes. Even if you're just a grocery getter, the car handles is day and night. It changes the way the car handles. It's more responsive, it's snappier driving. Sorry if I bored you guys. Let's go ahead and start installing these parts. So today we're going to be changing the strut bar, also known as a strut brace or caster rod. This is all the parts that you're going to need, and I'll walk you through it. The company is called SPC Performance. Let's go for it. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and build the new strut rod. Here's the old one on the side. What we have to get on here first is one of these adjustable nuts. We're going to have to feed it all the way in. Measure the original one from here and measure here. So to the center of this hole is about 16 and a half. So this one needs to go up more. So let me adjust this. First thing we're going to put on is going to be this washer here. Then after that, we're going to put our bushing. That's going to go here, like so. I believe these bushings are exactly the same. No difference. So it doesn't matter which one you use. So you put this bushing here, this rod. And this rod's going to go in between the bushing and the rod, like so, like that. And then pretty much you got to leave it here because we got to install it first, and then we'll assemble the rest once it's in the car. But basically you're going to get the body of the car is going to go in here, then this guy's going to go here, this guy's going to go here, this guy's going to go here, then this guy's going to go here, and then you got a cotter pin. Boom. So let's get to it. Let's go remove the old one. Alright, so I'm going to show you a strut rod that's already installed so you guys can see what it looks like. That's the adjustable strut rod, is what it should look like. You got your nut, your adjustable nut. You see it has threads so you can adjust it back or forward. It has a washer, the rubber. Inside there's a metal sleeve. Here's the washer. This is the frame of the Mustang. You got a bushing and another washer, a nut, and a cotter pin. And then it hooks up to here, to 2 bolts, to your lower control arm. Lower control arm. I'll show you the original. That's the original. Looks the same. Bushings are a little worn out, not too crazy, but there's no adjustment. As you can see, there's no threads here. And then we're about to take it apart down here. So 11/16 down here for the 2 bolts, or 2 nuts, 11/16. And for the 2 head nuts or head screws, you're gonna need 5/8. So we're gonna go ahead and take that apart. So I just kind of jammed it in there, and I can just kind of take it off with this. One screws out, you can poke it out. Not really. So we'll break the next one, which is this one here. Done. So now we're gonna take out this bolt here so we can remove it. It's going to be a 7/8. We're gonna go ahead and take this bolt off, or nut, I'm sorry. Make sure you save all this stuff and just put it away. You don't need it for your install, but it's nice to save. One thing too to keep in mind on this side, let me show you. You see this bracket right here? You gotta remember how it goes. Put it back. The instructions say to put it back. So I can put my flashlight down. Take these bolts. Keep this bracket. And then you can take off the tension. Pull back. And it falls out. And then make sure you put it all together and save that stuff. Right here's a new strut rod. You're gonna start with, you're gonna need the nut, your washer, and then you have this metal guy and your bushing, okay? And then what you're gonna do is you can slide it from this side. Just give you enough clearance to hit it back in this guy. Like so, okay? Then you rest it. We'll reassemble this and put on this guy. Like that, sandwiched in there. Then after that, you can put your washer, or your bushing, I'm sorry. Your bushing, right? Like so. Then you can put the bushing washer over that, like so. And then you're barely gonna be able to put on this dude. It's hard to get it on. Give me a second. Alright, so the nut's in. Leave it loosely tight. I wasn't getting enough threads because the bushing was actually not sitting good on this little bracket here. So you just spin it, make sure it gets in there, because sometimes that shaft too that's in the middle of all this stuff kind of got in the way, but it has enough teeth now to grab. And when you torque this down, this is supposed to be torqued down to 75 foot-pounds. and that's where it's supposed to be. And it'll crush the heck out of this and give you a lot of thread, so you can put your cotter pin in. This is where you adjust it. Like I said, just line it up. Mine was 16 inches and a half, about a little over 16 and a half, to get it the right length to the hole. So I measured from this end to the first hole in the middle. Now we're going to concentrate on the back. We're going to bolt this down and re-put our bracket on. Leave this super loose so we have enough play back and forth so we can put these bolts on with no issues. Alright, so we're going to torque these bolts down with the new company. The bolts down here are 5/8, okay? I'm going to torque them down to 70 pounds. Alright, so 70 foot-pounds. Now we can put this guy together. You're probably going to have to push it up to get that washer in properly. Alright. So everything's installed. This is the specifications to torque it to 75 foot-pounds. And the ones at the lower control arm, 70 foot-pounds. That's done. Put your cotter pin in and you're ready to try it. I had to measure the original one, which was about 16 inches and a half to dead center on the first bolt on the bracket. So that's what I measured, and I brought it out. So I just sat here and adjusted it with one of these guys, but smaller one. So now I gotta go test it out. It's back to stock spec, but we're gonna take it to go get aligned. One last thing that I want to share with you guys that's very different. I'm sorry if I keep looking down, it's because I wrote it down and I'm not gonna remember. So when I was on the Mike Myers website, there's an article, and I put that article in the link down below on how to get your base, like it's a base good alignment for your Mustang. So the first thing you want to set is, let's see. Okay, so the maximum caster that you want to do is 8 degrees positive, and the negative is 4.5. Obviously with this setup, you're not going to be able to get there. So just get to the closest, which would be 2 or 3. Total toe is 1/8, and then the camber setting you want to have is negative 0.5 to 1.2 max, and then that's pretty much it. And that's basically a good base alignment for your classic Mustang. One thing I was telling you guys about the torque specs on the front part of the one that hooks up to the actual chassis of the car under the radiator support. I didn't torque that down to 70 foot-pounds. I let the alignment shop do that because they were gonna have to take that off and readjust it. So I didn't want to make it too difficult for them. Just tell them what the specs are. When you get the paperwork in the box, it tells you the torque specs. You don't have to tighten it all the way. Just get it to your alignment shop, tell them the specs, and you should be solid. Just get it tight enough so it doesn't fall off. But with that cotter pin, you're not gonna have any issues. All right, so if you guys have any questions, please leave comments down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.